You're listening to Passages, a podcast about great quotes, life, and the wisdom of the Bible. And now your hosts, Drew Kaiser, Jason Pulliam, and Tim Layton.
That's the golden vocal cords of John McMath. Thanks for joining us. We're here together for another episode. Before we get into our material tonight, I want to encourage you to go over to cobbpublishing.com. Cobbpublishing.com has a lot of great periodicals and books for sale, run by the very talented Bradley Cobb, one of our sponsors. We talked last week about the Quarterly, the only periodical online available at Amazon for the Churches of Christ. You can go to Cobb Publishing and subscribe to the Quarterly. You can see it, a digital version for free, or you can order a hard copy. You can also get a copy of Alexander Campbell's Christian Baptist Volume 1. This is the bicentennial edition, and Brad has gone through and he's done a lot of good editing. For example, he's changed the chapter and verse references from the Roman numerals, which is kind of the old style, to the more modernized style. He's also annotated it thoroughly. I have a copy myself. It's very good for those who want to learn a little about the Restoration Movement. So check it out, cobbpublishing.com. Well, guys, it's good to be back again. Y'all been doing okay?
Oh, it's been a good evening. We had Andrew Kingsley, the young one, back with us today. I guess he's not young anymore. He's officially got his doctorate. Man, I called him Dr. Kingsley for the first time tonight. That was pretty cool.
And he's always a lot younger than us.
And always will be.
Always will be. That doesn't change.
But he did wonderful. It was good to see him.
After reading or hearing you read that or talk about that with Bradley Cobb and his website, I'm so thankful he's changing those pesky Roman numerals out. Have y'all ever looked at those long Roman numerals and tried to figure out what number that actually is?
Well, especially in a chapter and verse reference.
Oh, it's awful. Awful.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or at the end of movies in the 1980s, right? Because it's like then you have the MC,
or before that even.
LXVI.
And it disappears before you can do all the work to figure out what year that really was.
I can't even figure it out for the Super Bowls. That's how bad I am at the Roman numerals.
That's just a couple of numbers.
Yeah.
Or letters, whatever it is.
I don't even know how to refer to it.
Well, guys, have you heard about Bill Gates' new plan for saving the planet?
No.
I have not.
Oh, he's got this great plan, and I looked at several different sources. I chose to go with the Sierra Club, which is usually not a source that I would read from in environmental matters.
I figured you took their periodicals.
They actually are a little alarmed by this, which is the position I think is probably proper for what's going on here. It's entitled Solar Geoengineering Could Become the New Form of Denial for Silicon Valley Enthusiasts, critics say, which I realize that's a real bad title. The idea of dimming the sun to slow climate change is gaining popularity, but only with billionaires in the global north. In February, billionaire George Soros announced his interest in blocking sunlight over the Arctic to help slow the effects of climate change. He's not the first ultra-wealthy person to back the technology, also known as solar geoengineering. Others, including Bill Gates and Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz, have pumped millions into various sun-dimming projects over the last couple of years. Climate change is a dire threat, Sierra says, to life on Earth, and without serious interventions, it's only projected blah, 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 blah.
That's how I feel about it.
Solar geoengineering is a largely untested and theoretical approach that carries the risk of any number of potential unintended consequences. Really? Do you think so? And it's being pushed almost exclusively by white, wealthy individuals from the global north. I guess that's here.
And
global
white,
north.
wealthy individuals that own companies that will develop the technology to do it. Not that I'm a conspiracy theorist or anything. Follow the money, people.
Yes. So if you're wondering what this is, it says technically solar geoengineering refers to a host of technologies, everything from brightening clouds over the ocean to constructing a space-based shield to deflect sunlight like a giant translucent umbrella. The most common and well-known of these solutions involves stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI. This strategy involves spraying fine particles such as titanium, sulfur, or diamond dust into our atmosphere to reflect back a certain percentage of the sun's rays. That sounds perfectly safe. That sounds like a great idea.
Isn't spraying Aquanet how we got here? I mean, into the atmosphere.
Very nice indeed.
Yes, we're told not to do this.
What?
And in the 80s,
did it say diamond dust?
Diamond dust.
Sounds like a wrestler.
An idea that only Bill Gates and George Soros would come up with.
Now, diamond dust. Now, here's the question: Is diamond dust, titanium, sulfur, and I think I'm missing an ingredient?
I think you got it. Yeah.
Sprayed into the atmosphere more dangerous than cow flatulence, which is supposedly contributing to global warming anyway.
Apparently not. Apparently, it's more preferable to mask the sun, which I grew up hearing was necessary for life on Earth.
I've read that
It's
somewhere.
more preferable to mask the sun with chemicals in the sky and just, untested.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot and try it. That's safer
What
than
could go
driving an
wrong?
SUV and letting cows flatulate. This is a G-rated show, so we're going to use technical language.
I thought it was very appropriate. Now here is the
It's
issue.
crazy.
Where
this
could
is
this
an
go
insane
wrong?
idea.
What if we darken it too much? There is a lot of
Well, that's what they're going to wind up doing.
Yeah.
Quit messing with the planet. Leave our planet alone. Like, who said they could do this?
And why would they want? All right, guys, I'm going to get on.
And by the way, the article didn't say it's been done yet.
No, they're just
But it
postulating
probably
about
has.
it. Well, I just slid my soapbox out. I'm going to step
Okay,
up on it.
I was
for a
wondering
second.
what that was.
That was the sound. That's it sliding across the floor. All right, I just stepped up on it. Guys, the climate change movement has
out of control.
got to stop. All right, so you talk about all these researchers, and they're talking about like 1 degree of increase
Right.
over the next 150 years. You know what? And they don't even know. We cannot. Okay, last night, listening to the weather. Tomorrow, there'll be scattered showers, possibility of afternoon storms. Not a storm. Beautiful day. Absolutely. We cannot predict the weather 24 hours before it
But they
happens.
tell us they know what it's going to be like 150 years from now.
And they tell us they knew exactly what it was like 200 years ago, 300 years ago. They're nuts.
And look, we're old enough to
Nuts.
remember 20 years ago the predictions that Al Gore was making, and they didn't happen.
No.
Still got polar bears. I think we got more polar bears than we ever had. They're fine. They're doing amazing.
And I have heard, and now I wasn't living during this time, but I've heard somewhere around the 60s and 70s they were starting to project for like an ice age was coming. There was a coming ice age, and now it's heated up, but now we're not warming, so now we just call it
Climate change.
which is I always thought was just the seasons.
And it'll get really
Fall,
cold.
Spring.
And they'll say, well, that's because of climate change.
Yeah.
Everything's climate change. Well, I thought it was supposed to be hot. Huh. Silly man.
Well, we're having
not-
so many tornadoes this year. That's climate change. We've not had any tornadoes this year. That's
Climate
climate
change.
change.
It's all climate
I
change.
have low tire pressure. Climate change.
One of my favorites when it comes to
ridiculous.
like weather hysteria is we have always watched the Today Show in the morning.
I'm sorry.
It's what we have on TV. And, I often ask myself now, exactly why I'm doing that, but it's just habit. I mean,
With Savannah and Hoda. Mm-hmm. Hi, Hoda.
yeah.
Hi, girl.
And so,
Never seen
they'll go to the weather, and basically if there's a
With
front,
Al Roker, that
Er,
meteorologist extraordinaire.
yeah, and climate change lover.
Oh,
He's
he's got to if he wants to keep his job.
So there'll be a front that's coming across, and let's say it's got some severe weather in it, and this will be the statement that they make. They'll draw like they'll circle part of the country. 230 million people will be affected by this line of severe thunderstorms.
Shut up, Al. Just tell us who hit their 100th birthday and get off the screen.
Get me Willard Scott back.
Where's
Absolute.
Willard Scott?
Get dressed up
How
like
sweet it
dressed
is.
up like Carmen Miranda, wishing somebody a Smucker's 100th birthday.
That's right.
We don't need all
Well,
this.
the reason I
nuttiness.
put Mr. Burns in here
Very nice indeed.
is because these rich billionaires think they can just do whatever they want. But look, if you have a lot of money, that's fine with me. Go buy a mansion, buy a car that's not practical, buy a whole fleet of yachts, and enjoy yourself. But leave the planet alone. We've got to live on this place.
But you know how much of it, and I think you went there just a second ago, Jason, is, and I happen to own a couple of factories that make diamond dust.
Just happen to have a source for that.
That was making electric cars until we realized they don't work when it's cold. And you have to charge them.
I've tried to be open-minded about climate change.
I'm not anymore.
I've listened objectively. I really have. And has the planet warmed by a degree over the last 100 years? Yes. Has it ever done that before in the history of mankind? Probably several times. It's also cooled quite a bit. Did we cause it? Maybe, maybe not. What's worse, CO2 caused temperature rises or a blanket of chemicals covering the sun? I know which one I'd rather go with.
Well, and again, we're not talking about something they make it sound like it's this, or if we don't do this today, our children will suffer. No. Our children's children.
We're running out of time.
And I have a feeling there's this really great guy. His name's God. He created this whole thing. And he's been in control of it for, I don't know, I mean, roughly 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years, not millions and millions. That if they tell you that they're
lying. It's more than 4,000 years.
6,000, 7,000. It's not millions. I'll tell you the biggest event that caused climate change, global flood.
Yes.
I mean, that was climate change, and life's gone on for a long time since. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people talking about climate change. I'm reading a book right now on psychology, and it's talking about how climate change and the fear of climate change is affecting developing minds.
Yeah.
Hogwash. And I don't have a PhD.
Well, I'll tell you how
I'll
it's developing minds is that our kids are going to school and getting their ears blown with this philosophy, these theories, and it's scaring them to death. You're not going to have a planet in 20 years. The oceans are going to boil in 5 years. If you're a 13-year-old kid, that's going to scare you to death. Yeah. So it is changing their minds.
And let's just throw this into, all right, so, just to play a little bit, benefit of the doubt here, or devil's advocate, whatever you want to call it. So let's say that we could do something about it. And let's say that it's real and it's more than a degree in 100 years or whatever. So this is another one of those situations where I realize this is somewhat of a worldwide issue, but we really make it an issue in the U.S. And it's like, so we really think that, taxing us more so that we can all, so we can build a giant reflective umbrella and, send it into space is going to help versus maybe the pollution that's getting poured into the air in, underdeveloped countries or in China where maybe they don't care. They're just building at such a breakneck rate of everything that they're dumping pollution into the air. It's like, there's also the fact of like, everybody knows that, even the way to reverse damage that's being done, we can't do enough.
Well, apparently, Tim, Americans are responsible for everything, and we pollute. Studies show that we pollute more than the rest of the world. Of course, there are our studies that we painstakingly take, while in Africa and India and China, they're not doing these studies.
That's right.
Yeah,
and I can't trust their reports.
Travel abroad, and you will realize we're not polluting as bad as some.
No.
I can't go to Peru without coming back with
breathe.
lungs full of diesel fuel. Or diesel exhaust, not diesel fuel. That would be really bad. Diesel exhaust. I'll get it right. Yeah. Now, here we go. I just did the math, guys. What percentage of the world's population is the U.S.?
We have 350 million people.
334 million as of 2023.
Out of 8 billion?
I did 7.
Can't do that math.
4.7%. Guys,
it's lower than that because, like Tim said, we have 8 billion now.
Guys, we're not going to make a dent in anything.
Well,
it's not
the
really,
argument, though, Jason, is that we do most of the polluting. Now,
but
that's just
wrong.
what they're going to say.
We have 334 million people, roughly. We're not doing most of the polluting. The places that have billions with a B, they're polluting.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be our friends.
And my
in
last
China
word
and
on this
India,
is if we'll let businesses keep innovating, the technology will take care of whatever problem is happening. And we're already doing it. We're making scrubbers and things that solve pollution all the time. They're learning how to clean the oceans better. They're learning how to clean our air better. They're using better technologies that are more efficient and use less oil. Just let the business world and capitalism solve this problem.
Yeah. And I think also, I always go back to the example of that oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, right?
That nobody even remembers now.
That the thought was the Gulf of Mexico will never be the same.
Right.
I mean, that there was so much oil dumped into the Gulf of Mexico that the life there, just being able to clean it up.
Yeah, nobody talks about it now.
It will never happen. How many years ago was that?
I don't know.
Maybe 15, 20?
I don't remember.
Right. But, and they did a lot of work to do cleanup there, right? But also the earth healed itself.
Yeah.
Right. And so, this whole idea that we're the solution to all the problems, and we don't need to abuse the earth,
of course
right?
not. No.
And so if we can curb pollution, we should, and be good stewards of what God's given us. But the earth also can and will do, and it's God's creation, by the way, some amazing things that are beyond our ability to understand.
And he kind of gave us the most efficient, best cleaner of CO2.
Plants.
Trees. Plants.
CO2 is not bad.
I mean,
it's responsible for our crops.
And I'm
I'm telling you,
saying,
follow the money, folks.
Yeah,
follow
and
the
I'm
money.
not saying I know, what the whole path looks like, but we do know how this ends. And how it ends is it ends when God says it ends.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be because the oceans are boiling. It's going to be because he said it's the appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
And, so all this, fear mongering over, this is the way the, world's going to end or be unlivable or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't buy that.
I do.
God's going to declare the time when it's all over.
I do 100% believe, though, that shooting a bunch of particles and stuff into the atmosphere that creates a reflective barrier around the Earth.
Bad idea.
I'm picturing the planet. I'm picturing the planet in Spaceballs where they pull up and suck the oxygen. They have the thing that opens up and they get the. Anyway, it's an old movie.
I would like to throw out the idea that what if, if you're trying to cover the Earth, why don't we just start with people? So maybe if we mandate that everyone has to wear a reflective, like flat helmet,
but it's already gotten into the atmosphere.
Oh, by then it doesn't work, huh?
And plus, it'd mess up our hair, Tim.
Well,
and Drew, you're headed to that world.
Some of us,
and a lot of us would have to take our tinfoil hat off.
I think it's time to go to our next segment.
Okay, so while we're on this next segment, talking about things that probably are not great ideas and probably are going to fail, let me read you the name of this article. Woodfin on Birmingham Citizens Observer Patrol. This is not a Barney Fife situation. Hit it, Drew.
Citizens on patrol! Citizens on patrol!
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
I like it.
Not to copy exactly the great movie Police Academy 4 from about 1987, they, instead of naming the program as Citizens on Patrol, they've named it Citizens Observer Patrol. That's right, coming
Pretty
soon
close.
to Birmingham. The Birmingham City Council has approved a plan for a Citizens Observer Patrol with volunteers who are not police officers helping patrol neighborhoods. Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin weighed in on the program Wednesday. This is not a Barney Fife situation, Woodfin said as he called for more citizen assistance in preventing crime. He gave an example of how Citizens Observer Patrol could work. There's a street racing event. We know it because a flyer goes out. People meet up. Well, the citizen in plainclothes can be out there just like everybody else with their cell phone because that's what they do. They record the event in real time if cameras are not at that intersection or night rider operations on a different side of town, then this person can simply blend in with everyone else in plainclothes with their cell phone. Just text that email in real time to BPD because all they're doing is observing. They're not doing anything else. Birmingham residents who volunteer to be part of the Citizens Observer Patrol would be trained to patrol the city's neighborhoods and report criminal activity to the police. They would go through training at Police Academy, which is awesome, but would have no arrest powers. They could possibly be provided vehicles marked with city identification and wear identifying shirts and caps. I'm going to stop there. I'm picturing the shirts and caps looking like the Target logo because that is what's going to happen.
Oh, man.
If you're walking around in Birmingham texting the police what you're seeing going on, because the problem is not in spotting the crime. The problem is, so let's say we see something happen. We text the police, this is going on. They come arrest the guy. They take him to the county lockup, to the magistrate, and the DA says, it's a minor thing. We're not going to charge. Just turn him back out on the street. Well, who becomes target number one? Citizens on patrol.
Right, the citizens on patrol.
Because snitches get stitches, fellas. Snitches get stitches. So this is a program they're planning now.
And so just to make it easier, like you said, they're going to identify the citizens on patrol with their hats and shirts.
And probably a city card. Now, Woodfin said he envisioned it as being more surreptitious. Man, that's a big word. Observation of potential criminal activity such as street racing. This is an initiative, which is hard to say. Woodfin said, you won't see anytime soon 200 citizens out there being active. That's not what it's about. It won't be implemented anytime soon, he said. 1, we have to create the program. 2, they have to be trained. And 3, we have to find something that we think we've already found to place citizens in to observe and simply share information with police in real time.
Now, okay, so the mayor says this is not a Barney Fife situation. And as a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, I would like to say it is a Barney Fife situation. He's Barney Fife, and the citizens on patrol are Otis and Gomer.
Oh,
I mean, this is very
Citizens
much.
arrest.
They don't get guns, but they're on the staff.
It is
They
something
get the
else.
uniform.
So they're
Because
planning.
Barney was actually
Barney
a
was in
policeman.
Woodfin's position,
Right.
yeah.
And so it was Gomer that made a citizen's arrest on Barney, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that,
Or maybe
yeah.
it was it
I'm talking about when
Gomer or
Barney
Goober?
deputizes, Otis and Gomer, and Goober, and
Now,
whoever else is lying
whoever it
around.
was that made a citizen arrest was not deputized, right? Because
Right.
that would have been a regular arrest.
Right. And we could do that. I can make a citizen's arrest. I'm not going to.
so number one, there are people that when they read this article were already like growing a mustache, working on pumping their arms up so they would be a citizens on patrol, because there are people
You
who
got to have a
would,
mustache?
who I think so. I think that's part of it.
Right.
Who would live for this job? I'm downtown.
yes.
I've got my police scanner.
Right.
I've got
I'm
my
ready.
phone, maybe a
Binoculars.
listening device, a set of binoculars, some Funyuns, maybe
One
a
of
diet
those
soda.
voice-activated recorders.
This is Citizen on Patrol 3. I'm in West Section. All is clear. Over. Suspicious activity. Man pushing grocery cart down the street.
Well, and is this more than
boneheaded
recording?
ideas.
This is more than recording with their cell phone. Although he mentioned that, because I was going to say,
and
we already have that built into our society. You can't do anything without it getting recorded by a cell phone. But this is also contacting the police.
This is specifically recording it to turn these people in, so the police.
So you can make them mad enough to come back and hunt you down and kill you. Yeah, because they know you're not armed,
and they also know the DA is not going to book them. They're going to turn them back out on the street. Talk to any policeman in Birmingham. They'll say, unless it's a major offense, they're turning these guys loose.
And listen, somebody comes out of a convenience store that they've just robbed or whatever, and they see somebody doing this, or especially, for those that are listening, which I think is the whole idea of this podcast. I'm holding my phone up, right?
Yeah.
So, you see somebody across the street holding their phone up, think I might take a shot at them,
on the way out,
right? Yeah. And
especially if they're in a uniform,
if they're in a uniform, and I live in Birmingham, so I know that the citizens on patrol are unarmed.
Yeah, observers patrol,
right?
But I picture them wearing the same thing that the crossing guards wear. The kids that work car line in the morning at the elementary school, the
just
bright
the reflective vest,
maybe the little sash thing with a little plastic badge,
and a big bullseye all the way, right in here.
Oh
right?
Man! So we go from we're going to wreck the atmosphere by shooting chemicals to we're going to endanger a lot of people.
This is very interesting. I mean, just related to this, and I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but there was a story in Birmingham about there's one gas station downtown that apparently there is just something going on there all the time, and it's the one that about a week or so ago, apparently there was so much gunfire, like a person was killed, and they just said like hundreds of rounds, were shot at this one place, and the city went in and shut this place down. Maybe they didn't shut them down. They sued them. They're suing them for basically allowing all this crime to happen at their, so there must be some case that
they're suing
the
gas station.
They are suing the gas station.
Well, but the gas station is the place that got shot up.
Well, no, it happened like outside the gas station, but apparently there is like suspicious
they're
activity.
Involved in some way.
There must be a case that they're involved in. So it can't just be there's crime going on outside your gas station.
But what's the poor guy at the gas station supposed to do? Go out and tell all these guys with guns, now y'all should go home.
Right.
Cease and desist.
I've always wanted to say that. Tell you one thing, when the Citizens Observer Patrol gets here, this foolishness is going to stop.
Well, and I like the acronym COP, because in today's world, COP, it brings a lot of positive sentiment.
All right. Very interesting. All right. So, I guess the last two episodes that I've been on, we've done the Gen Z dictionary. And so decided to sort of take a break from that.
I think that's probably
one of our most it's one of our most popular.
It really
segments.
is popular,
it really is.
And folks like.
And we need to return to it
we'll
because
be
it's a living dictionary.
That's right. And
so,
I heard a couple phrases this last week that we need to add to it.
I think I've kept my list so that we want it to be an addition each time, right? Whenever possible. Mm-hmm. But I decided that I would go retro tonight, and so. You guys are on average about 10 years younger than me, and plus or minus, plus for one of you, minus for the other of you. Let our listeners figure that one out. But I grew up in the 1970s, in my, sort of, up till about preteen. And so I thought I'm going to go back and look at like some of the main television shows that were on during the 70s and see if you guys, know about them, watched them. I think some of these are, easy peasy, right? You will have learned about them. But
I probably saw them in syndication.
That may be entirely possible. You may have seen them when you got home from school, at 3:30 on, each weekday or something. So anyhow, I wanted to throw these out and see, just sort of talk about some of these, maybe a trip down memory lane for folks. We're going to do
So is this a random list of just some of your?
It's sort of random, and
nostalgic favorites.
I'm sure built into this is some favorites of mine, right?
Right.
Because I looked through the sort of a general list and picked a few out. So, do you guys remember the TV show What's Happening?
Yeah.
Remember that
Is that the one with Rerun?
Rerun, exactly.
I
Do you remember that one?
Barely.
Okay.
I remember seeing a few episodes.
I started doing
at some point.
the Sanford and Son theme song, but
No,
it was a and Rerun was chasing the car. He couldn't get on the car.
Very nice.
You can't have a character like Rerun anymore because they made fun of his. They fat shamed Rerun.
They fat shamed, but Rerun could dance, right? So Rerun.
Oh, yeah,
had
he had
the
some
ability.
moves.
He had moves that nobody else on the show had.
And I can't tell you a single other character's name.
Do you remember Raj?
No.
Raj was like.
Now that name does stick
Was
out.
he the
in my
cool
mind.
one with the afro?
No, that was Dwayne.
Okay.
Raj was the guy that wore the beret. Was he the beret wearing one?
That was Rerun. Rerun had
Okay.
the beret.
Jason, put that phone down. You're cheating.
All right.
No, I'm just looking to see if I can remember
and then
these.
The little girl D that was always telling on her big brother Raj. So
okay,
anyhow,
yeah.
so
It's coming back.
All right. So but Rerun was really the main guy.
Wait, they
I mean,
fat shamed him? He's like my size.
He's not all that big, relatively
That kind
speaking.
of hurts my feelings a little bit.
What they did though,
But
that whole opening was a fat shame.
Yeah.
He can't get. Look at him. He can't catch
I'm
the
just
car.
telling
He
you,
can't
in
get
this
in the
picture,
car.
he looks like he's wearing the same size clothes I am.
as I remember it, he was the family was super poor, and the mom had to work all the time, so the kids had to sort of they
Take care of
themselves somewhat. Anyhow, I remember that show. It was a good one. So a lot of these shows in the 70s, I think maybe more. I shouldn't say that, but spinoffs were a big thing in the 70s, and I guess they are now too. CSI, 1, 2, 3, Vanilla, Chocolate, Miami, Oklahoma. I don't know. So they'll get a good franchise, and they'll
As long as the
take
Who
it,
will give
right?
them the licensing rights to their songs, they'll
right.
keep going.
Yeah.
So the next one are a couple that were chained together. The $6 Million Man. Did you ever see that?
I know about it, but I never watched it.
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've heard about it.
All
Never
right.
watched it.
So Lee Majors was the $6 Million Man, and so a couple cool things about the $6 Million Man. Whenever he would do something, special, use his special capabilities, because at the very beginning he was an astronaut, and they had, an explosion, and then they go to he's in surgery, and they're saying, we can rebuild him, we can make him bigger, better, stronger, whatever. I don't know, faster. And then, but every time in the
Is
show,
it the Biden administration?
exactly, build back better. We'll build him back better. That was a $6 Million Man. So every time he would do something special, the sound effect, because it was the 70s, they would slow it down, and it would go. So like if he's running 100 miles an hour, it would be slow motion and
Yeah.
And so
How was it again?
one more time. All right. So are you making fun of me?
Not at all.
All right. So, but along with the $6 Million Man, there was a spinoff because there must have been some success in that show. And the Bionic Woman was
Gotta have
the
something for
spinoff.
the ladies.
The ladies needed something too. And
The
so,
Bionic Woman.
right. So the Bionic Woman was
What
a spinoff.
percentage of these individuals was indeed mechanical? I mean, are we talking 50-50? These are cyborgs.
It was some serious business because, like,
You open the chest up, what do we got in
He
there?
had like a bionic eye. Most of it had to do with physical abilities. So like super strength, and his legs could go fast.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, it just looked like a regular guy
Yeah.
that they did slow-mo and that ticking sound.
But, there were $6 Million Men dolls and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
Lee Majors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, his best show was The Fall Guy. I do remember The Fall Guy.
Was he the guy in The Fall Guy?
Yeah, he was. Oh, now that's
And
one
now
we
they've just
watched a
made that
lot of.
movie, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
They
Yeah,
just-
we were seeing the previews to that, and Jackson's like, that looks cool. And I said, that was an old TV show.
sure was.
We've already
that
done
was
that.
one I remember watching when I would get home
Yeah,
from
and
school.
that came after the $6 Million Man. All right, so the next group here, another spinoff chain. So Happy Days.
Absolutely.
Y'all know
Oh,
Happy
yeah,
Days,
yeah.
right? The Fonz and Richie Cunningham and, the whole deal there. So they spun off Laverne and Shirley, right?
Oh,
So
that was a spinoff from
was a
Happy Days?
spinoff.
Oh, I did not know that.
Right.
was a
So
spinoff.
Laverne and Shirley.
Was that just like a one episode? Were they recurring characters?
I think they were in Happy Days a couple of times.
Okay.
Maybe before the spinoff, and maybe they came back for like another episode. I remember them being at Arnold's, and maybe they were dating Potsy and Ralph Malph or something. I don't know. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
that was a show that we watched at our house, Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and
I remember
Shirley?
that, and Happy Days.
Now, also a spinoff from Happy Days was Mork and Mindy, which was the start for Robin Williams.
Nanu.
I'd forgotten that.
Right.
Yeah, that started in Happy Days.
Right. So Mork from Ork,
Yep.
so he appeared in some weird episode of Happy Days where
Now,
he's
did
there
they
for-
write those shows or did they just turn Robin Williams loose? And just
So
for the
I've-
next scene,
Yeah.
just
go.
go.
So
Yeah.
I've read about this, and they would have an idea of what they wanted him to do. He would never do it. He was always on his
And he
own.
wasn't exactly sober.
And no one ever knew what
Most
he
of the
was going to
time,
do. Like everybody was nervous.
yeah. Yeah. I bet
And
they were.
probably at some point they're like, all right, we think we've got enough. And they had to go back and put together what the episode was
Yeah.
going to be.
But man, a genius with improv. Absolute genius with improv.
Yeah.
So that was another chain. Chips.
Oh,
Chips?
Yeah.
man,
All right.
yeah.
Eric Estrada.
Punch and John,
Punch
man.
and John. There you
Julie
go.
was a
Good.
big fan of
Very
Chips.
I
good.
would
I
watch
think.
that at my great grandmother's house on TBS. We'd watch that every
All
time we
right,
were
cool.
over there.
All right, I know y'all know this one, Sanford and Son, right?
Yeah, I
We've
was
been
doing the theme song a little while ago.
I think I
Yeah,
grew
that's
up like
it.
Sanford and Son. I may be becoming Sanford. I collect
wasn't
a lot
allowed.
of junk now.
I wasn't allowed to watch Sanford.
That's
and
where I
Son.
learned to call people a fish-eyed fool.
There you go.
That's why I wasn't allowed to watch it
Well, a fish-eyed
because
fool
my
is
mother
not a bad-
does not
Abide
cotton to people calling each other fools.
Every
And
time I
we
fake a
would
heart
mimik
attack.
anything we saw on TV. So
I
And
say,
so
I'm
that-
coming,
that in the
Elizabeth.
bud.
that. Right. So there's Fred saying,
Oh,
I'm coming,
man, yeah.
Elizabeth, and Esther, right?
Yeah.
Lamont.
Grady and Lamont, Rollo, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting characters on there. Do you remember Jack Klugman in Quincy?
yes,
So he was a
Yeah.
medical examiner.
that was
don't
more a
remember
show
Quincy.
my parents
yeah,
watched.
That was sort of
That was
a
like
little
what
more
we had to
serious.
endure.
I was a little highbrow for the Pullum household.
Now that
maybe.
was after he was in The Odd Couple, so he and Tony
Yeah,
Randall
which
were
is
in
a
The Odd Couple,
great show.
and probably more early '70s there, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
He was a big
I
star
can
by
res-
that time.
I can remember seeing reruns of The Odd Couple.
Okay.
Did Quincy solve mysteries?
Yeah. So
He's a doctor
and
who
he was-
solved
He was a
mysteries.
medical examiner, so somebody had been killed or something.
Man,
know,
the
and he-
1 hour,
Yeah.
when you get into the 80s, you got like a lot of 1 hour mystery shows.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of them.
Absolutely. Welcome back, Cotter. This was one of my favorites.
That's a
in
good
the
one. John
70s.
Travolta.
Yeah, John Travolta's start as Vinnie Barbarino.
Never watched it much, but I do remember it.
It's,
Mr. Carter.
right. Freddie Boom Boom Washington was a character there.
Horseshack.
Epstein, Horseshack.
Oh.
Epstein would always have a note from, and so Mr. Cotter would read it. Please excuse Juan Epstein from taking the test today. Signed, Epstein's mother. That's what it would always be signed, Epstein's mother. And so, it started like the rhyming insults up your nose with a rubber hose,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, the sweat hogs were something. How about the Waltons, right? So that's getting back to serious business.
Never
again.
watched
I
The
didn't like
Waltons.
that one.
I didn't either. It was.
That's
it
in the
was-
Little
I
House
just-
on the Prairie
it is.
family.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
saw
But-
Drew.
Sentimental.
I saw
like-
Drew's guttural response to you even saying
like
the name.
My mom, you give her some Waltons
Oh
and some
man,
Little House
you
on the
get
Prairie.
a box of tissues and
So
hey, Little House on the Prairie. Is that on your list?
no, I didn't put that on here. On there,
Every episode, something just horrible happened.
tragic.
Mary's blind. She's blind. And then there was one episode where she gets her eyesight back, and it's like, just kidding, she's blind again. She's blind.
She got to see for one day. So,
What's Half Pint gonna do? Paul, get your fiddle out. Somebody else was
We've got
crushed by
good
a wagon
news.
wheel.
We've got good news. Mary can see, but the barn burnt down.
Oh, whoops! No, she's still blind.
Oh me, yeah. That was, man. Those shows were a lot to take on.
I may be
Absolutely.
repressing my memories of. I know we watched that show, but I may be repressing
terrible.
my memories.
So Friday nights in I think probably the mid '70s meant back to back Brady Bunch and Partridge Family. And that was some must-see TV right there.
Yeah, I don't know what it was because it would drive me crazy to try to watch it now. But when I was a kid, I liked some Brady Bunch.
I did too.
Yeah.
And it was on in the
I'm
afternoons
embarrassed
when
to
I
admit
got
it.
home from school.
Yeah, that's.
The
I think I was watching
Brady Bunch,
syndication
the Brady Bunch,
after school.
Yeah.
That's when I saw that show.
Right.
We became
The Brady Bunch
boom,
got
boom,
a lot.
boom.
Do.
Yep.
And then here comes the episode.
Yep.
Marsha.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think I
famous.
would probably vomit if I tried to watch it now.
There was an episode that Joe Namath was on. That was a good one.
They did some musical numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was one where Peter's voice was changing, and
Oh, when it's time to change, you got to rearrange.
You gotta make the
When it's
change.
time to change, you've got to rearrange.
Oh, we know some
wow.
lyrics.
Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Whoa.
Sha-na-na-na-na. All right, here we go. Moving on, the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
Never watched it.
It didn't get as much in syndication, but it was some cool stuff. Back in
That was
watched
kind
that
of
one.
trying to get some of that Monkees energy.
It was.
The
that
Monkees was a
Yeah, that was
band.
a show.
Yeah.
And,
You know,
and I think in all reality, so that made sort of David Cassidy a huge star, but I think he absolutely hated it because he was really a rock star. And
Was he, though?
He didn't. I mean, he went
Not
away
after
from
the
this
Monkees.
and did and he was like touring.
before the show.
I think so, and he was
Well,
not,
nobody forced
He
him.
was not Keith Partridge, right? He didn't wake up in love this morning, went to sleep with you on my mind. That was not his stuff. So I think it was sort of difficult for him. All right, just
I
a
feel
couple
so
more.
sorry for
just
him.
a couple more. I know. Kung Fu. Are y'all aware of Kung Fu?
The Western.
Was that the
I
grasshopper
would like
reference?
to. I never
Grasshopper,
got to see
absolutely.
that, and something.
Patience, grasshopper.
I would like to see that, and I tried to find it because you can stream just about everything, but that show you can't find it anywhere.
Interesting.
It's
I'm
probably been
curious
canceled.
about it though.
All right. This also is
Insensitive
Too woke.
cultural
Way
appropriation.
too woke.
the last one on this list is a combination. It sort of represented Saturday night during a period of time in the 70s, and that's the Love Boat followed by Fantasy Island. And so those would always
You gonna
Really
do
was
it or am I
never.
gonna-
I was never allowed
Is
to
he
watch either of
playing?
those.
Is he playing? I wasn't allowed to watch it either.
Never saw it.
Tim, what kind of rules are
Boat.
happening in your house in those days?
Sounds like a free
What
for
kind
all
of
at the lake in a
slut
boat.
were you watching on your TV as
Yeah.
a child?
Y'all needed
Who raised
Jesus.
you?
So Captain Steubing was the captain on the Love Boat, right? And all kinds of stars would come on.
Yeah,
each
they
week.
would. They would have like every week
Oh,
the
man.
cameo.
Here'd be.
What soap operas were you watching at the age of 12, Tim?
You mean sin operas?
That's the way it should be.
Y'all leave me alone.
Now you're watching WWE, same thing, sin opera.
I'm not done yet. Okay. So Fantasy Island, when we were in Hawaii with the band trip during spring break, they took us to this, they called it Secret Island. It was just sort of a private beach that the kids were able to, to be at, and we had lunch one day. And they said that, so it was on a piece of private property, and they said they filmed a lot of things on this private piece of property, among those being everybody coming into Fantasy Island, with Mr. Rourke and Tattoo.
What kind of show was Fantasy Island? Was that like a sci-fi?
So it was. So the whole idea behind Fantasy Island, right, was these people would come and something that they had always wanted, they would get, and then there would always be the story of what you really wanted was not what you were asking for. I mean,
was it
just
magic?
over and
They
over.
would get it in a
Yeah,
magical
in a
way.
magical way. Yeah,
They come to the island. Somebody wanted
they wanted.
What kind of things would they want?
wanted maybe to be famous.
so they
And so
come
they
and
would come
suddenly
to the island, and then they would be in this situation that they were famous. Or
They would
maybe
get famous while on the island, or would they go back home and become famous?
No, but somehow in that whole story, they would realize that they really didn't want fame. They just wanted the love of somebody that was with them on the trip.
Their
or
mother.
Something, I don't know.
Hey, can I?
Yeah.
The characters, these two guys, were they not in a James Bond movie? Am I making that up?
Is that Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah.
That's Wrath of Khan.
That is
Khan!
That is Ricardo Montalban of Rich Corinthian Leather. He used to do commercials for like the
now I've got to see if he
Plymouth
Now, was
Volare.
the little person, was he short round?
That is Hervé Villechaize.
That
Good grief! You nailed that.
Was Hervé in a Bond movie?
I lived through this. Come on.
I'm looking right now to see if Hervé was in a Bond movie.
Ricardo Montalban.
I got to put on my glasses so I can see.
All right, so while you're looking for that, and I'll let you come back to it, here's the bonus of Saturday morning TV in the 70s, because there was some trippy stuff going on.
Oh,
All right?
yes.
You know where I'm headed.
Yeah.
H.R. Puffin stuff was one of the first
Crazy.
ones, right? And so there was a character on there named Witchy Poo in addition to H.R. Puffin stuff. Listen, who needed to know what was going on that show when the last name of the dude was Puffin Stuff?
Wonder what's going on there.
The Land of the Lost.
Yes.
You remember the Land of the Lost?
I remember it. Slee Stacks.
Very good. So I read that the Slee Stacks were actually a number of basketball players from USC and UCLA, because I think they were big, tall.
They did it on the cheap.
Absolutely.
Those were really interesting costumes. You know, the eyes were like big, glassy.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of looked like lizards, but they were humanoids.
Yeah. And then a couple of animated ones that were my favorites. Hong Kong Phooey, who Scatman Crothers was the voice of Hong Kong Phooey. And then another great piece of cinematic work, Inch High Private Eye. He was a private eye that was 1 inch tall. That was, yeah.
He can get into places that other detectives can't get to.
Exactly.
Wasn't there a sea monster?
Sigmund the Sea Monster.
Now, all of those live action things, Land of the Lost, Sigmund the Sea Monster, H.R. Puffin stuff, that was Marty Krofft.
That was Croft Productions.
Yeah.
That's right.
Productions.
Never saw any of those,
Yep.
and I'm probably okay.
So it was all very, it's like a psychedelic trip.
Yeah, I
or
probably
something.
could
it's
do it.
crazy.
Yeah.
So Hervé Villechaize was in the Bond movies. He was the
right.
man with the golden gun. Not the other guy, but he was in.
No, you're talking about Ricardo Montalban.
No, I'm talking about Hervé Villechaize. Was in the James Bond. He was Nick Nack in the James Bond
Okay,
movie.
he's Nick Nack. He wasn't the man with the golden gun.
No,
that
he was in the movie.
Christopher
He was in the movie The Man with the Golden
Lee.
Gun.
Christopher Lee was,
Yeah.
I think. Anyway,
All right. That's
Montalban
it for me.
was a con.
I went on too
Wrath of
long.
Khan.
but-
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on too long with that. But
Man, that was a good trip.
A lot of fun. looking
We
back at
learned a
some of
lot
those
about
shows.
your home life and the fact that y'all could just watch
Yeah.
anything on your 3 channels.
Yeah.
Anything
It
that was on the
explains
3
a
channels.
lot.
Yeah, it does. No wonder you like show tunes. You loved Love Boat.
Love Boat. Soon we'll be making another run. It's time for us to take a break.
Welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us. Those of you who actually did, and if you didn't, we know who you are. We're ready for our passage this week. Our passage this week comes from Albert Camus. Jason, how do you do the French?
Albert. No, that's not Albert.
Albert Camus. Existential.
Can we just call him Albert?
Existentialist Albert. Here's the quote. Well, I got to find it.
Oh, you can't find it.
Okay, here it is. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer.
And that's a D in there, midst, not mist. Midst.
Midst.
The
Thank
first
you.
time I typed it out and looked at it, I had mist, and I was like,
Oh,
no,
mist
that's,
of winter.
That's not right. That
a beautiful
totally
idea.
changes it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very beautiful turn of phrase. Now, the rest of it, let me get some context and read the rest of it. And he says, "And that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better, pushing right back." Now, that sounds great, but I have to tell you, Camus comes at this from a very different place than we would. He would not probably agree with our interpretation of this quote. He was an existentialist philosopher, which basically, and I'm no philosopher, so if you're listening out there and you have some expertise in this, just give me a break. I mean, I'm doing the best I can, but basically, his idea was the world is absurd and meaningless. It has no purpose. There is no God. There is no afterlife. There is no soul. There is only matter, natural world. And so you have to make your own meaning in the world. You have to go within and find your purpose and create a meaning for yourself, create a purpose for yourself. And that's the only way you can tolerate this existence you're in. So it's kind of depressing. I've read a few of his novels, The Stranger, The Plague, and he was a very smart guy and had compassion as an atheistic philosopher, but he didn't believe in God. Still, this is a beautiful idea that I think we can apply to Christianity. I also wanted to play where I got it from. This is a little clip from Michael J. Fox. He was one of Time's 100 influential people this year. And so he gave a little acceptance speech, and this was at the end of the speech.
My dad, he never said he graduated from the School of Hard Knocks.
He's talking about his dad.
He didn't get anywhere near high school. He said he had a master's from the University of Adversity. I didn't finish high school either, and I guess that makes me a legacy at the University of Adversity.
It's funny.
And since every class of the University of Adversity is an AP philosophy course, I'll close with a quote from Camus. "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." Happy birthday, Dad. Give Mom a hug for me.
So that got my attention, and then I explored the quotation more. I thought it was perfect for tonight. So what do you guys think? I have some Christian ideas I'd like to inject into that. Imagery that Camus
at first
comes
I
up
thought
with.
you were going to take away our ability to do that when you started talking about that's not the direction he came from.
Well,
It's
we
like,
don't
well,
have
I'm
to
just
do
gonna
what the
scribble out my notes.
no.
I like the whole concept of always being able to find the positive in any situation of our lives. I think we always need to look for that, because there are going to be winners in our life. And sometimes of our own making, sometimes just because we live in this world for all kinds of reasons, right? Sometimes, tragedy, who knows, right? Sometimes because of decisions that others make, all across the board. But in those bad situations, we need to realize that it's not all bad. It's never 100% bad. Even the worst things, we've all been through some bad things. Mm-hmm. But even the worst things, there's some summer out there that runs through it all. And we need that summer to keep us going, right? And, so when it comes to us as believers, a lot of that summer is wound in that, right? Our Christian friends, our church family, the promises of God. There's a lot of that winds into that. But if we ever lose the fact that there's some summer out there in that winter, then that's when we lose hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say what I agree with what you're saying. the out there that you're talking about, Tim, are the circumstances and the relationships you have in your life. And another take on this would be in the phrase that Camus uses, within me. So I want to think about the interior also, because that's where summer is invincible. From our point of view, if you have faith, he was coming at it from existentialism, which I don't think is invincible at all. I think at some point there's a part of you, there's a little voice inside of you that's saying, this is all a myth, this is all a fraud, I'm just making all this up. But if you have faith, your spirit within you encounters the love of God, and that is a light that is invincible. The end of Romans 8, nothing can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus. Nothing can come between us. And that is that in that interior, no matter what storms are hitting you from the outside, no matter what circumstances change, no matter what losses you incur, you have that inner strength from God that's deep down. And I think a lot of times we think about God as out there, up there. He's up in space. We think of it like that. He's in heaven. He's away. But how many times does the Bible say God will come and he will abide in us and we abide in him? Mm-hmm. And Jesus says, I am one with the Father. He is in me and I am in him. And I want that for you. I want my disciples to be people who are a temple for the Holy Spirit, that God dwells in them. And what that means is we have a spirit, and that's where we encounter God. It's within. And so for me, that's where the light is. The summer is light to me. That is invincible. That's a strength that sadly very few people tap into, that God wants us to live in. That should be the strongest part of our person, our soul.
I'm going to jump in here before I have to cross out more verses that I'd written down to discuss, because you took Romans 8 already. I love just the imagery and the contrast of images in this quote. I think this is probably, from an imagery standpoint, the most beautiful quote we've had.
Yeah,
just from what
I really
you
like
see.
it. Yeah,
in the midst of winter, that is the external, right? Mm-hmm. If you're in the midst of something, it surrounds you. And, you think of those days growing up or in our adult life where we've been out in the bitter cold and just how miserable that is. It's not a good feeling. It's dark. It's gray. There's not a lot of life. The grass is dead. The leaves are dead. The trees are, it's just gross and cold. Mm-hmm. And it's not comfortable and it's not safe. And then he contrasts that with an invincible summer. I think of those as those beautiful days like we've had over the last few weeks, where blue skies, puffy clouds, light breeze, cicadas screaming like a banshee. We've got all of this imagery too, and one of them is out of our control. The midst of winter, I'm stuck where I am. I can't change necessarily my environment. If things are going on externally around me that are out of my control, there's nothing I can do about it. But the invincible summer is what I can control, what's within me, how I respond, how I react. And I think what you were talking about with being full of God, God being within us and finding that joy and that fulfillment and that hope through him, I thought about Ephesians 3, where Paul, in verses 16 through 19, he says, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in the inner man, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, and that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and the length and the height and the depth, and to know the love of Christ, which surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled up to all the fullness of God. Boy, that is an invincible. Yeah. That is an invincible summer. Just reading that,
right?
You get a picture of warmth, and you get a picture of love, and you get a picture of safety, and that's in total, absolute contrast to the midst of winter.
John talks about light over and over again, both in the gospel account and in his letters. Light and dark were images that he used quite a bit. He kept them in circulation. And so I compare Camus' idea of the invincible summer with the light that you read about in the New Testament. And I was thinking this afternoon as I was trying to get my thoughts sorted out for this podcast, I was thinking, what does the light stand for? And I've studied this before and I've thought about it. And it's always kind of, to be honest, it's frustrated me because it's such a ambiguous symbol to me. I mean, I know what it means, but define it. And so I started thinking about qualities, biblical qualities that go with that symbol of light. And I thought of knowledge, I thought of peace, holiness, joy, love is a big one, which you just read from Ephesians 3, and life. And I think about John 1, in him was light, and the light was the life of men. And that's our life. There is no life when you face the winter with no interior light. There's no life.
As you were talking about that, one image that popped out in my head that light also brings is warmth. You know, on those really, really super cold days, how nice it feels to get in your car that's been sitting out in the sun.
Yeah.
And you're out in that bright sun. Even though you're still cold, you feel the warmth from that light. And and that's the warmth that's inside. That's the invisible summer.
That's salvation, because you could freeze to death without it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that is the spark that's within us that pushes us far. Because if, as he thinks from his own state of philosophy, that there is no God, that this is all there is, well, there's no hope there. I mean, without God, there is zero hope. And hope brings warmth. I mean, at least it does to me. When I think of hope, I think of a warm blanket, of something that's giving me courage, of something that's comforting me, something that's completely in opposition to the midst of winter.
You know, it's very interesting in, sort of that second part of this passage, right, where you expanded upon it, and it says, that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there's something stronger, something better pushing right back. And for him to have that idea, even as as an atheist, it's very interesting how he could come with that philosophy, right? The whole world's pushing against me, but somehow there's something stronger within me to push back. I mean, for us, that's so easy because, we realize that God's on our side, that God abides in us, like you were saying earlier. And so there really is something stronger. I mean, it's interesting to think about, what does he think that, in his situation, how is he somehow stronger than the world that pushes against him?
Or how would he
for us, right? We know that, with God on our side, we're on the right side, right?
It's like, and what is that invincible summer he's talking about?
Right.
I mean, how does he define that?
I mean, he basically sets up 2 Corinthians 4:16. Our outer self is wasting away. Our inner self is being renewed day by day. That winter sometimes is our own body. Yeah. And, we talk about age in terms of you have a spring and you have a summer of life and you have an autumn of life and you have a winter of life. And it's sobering. You can't stop the seasonal change. And in the human body, it's one cycle. It's not like our world that changes seasons and cycles over and over again. We get one spring, one summer, one fall. Yeah. Oh, some of us don't even get the fall and the winter, Yeah,
I'm definitely seeing leaves starting to fall off at my house.
Yeah.
One of the things that stands out too is that phrase in there, I found there was. So I found indicates, or at least to me implies, that you're seeking something.
Yes, and knowing Camus, he did.
Yeah, and for some people, they don't ever find that, in the movie City Slickers, there was that one thing, that Curly talked about that you had to seek and had to put yourself into, one thing. And so many people, unfortunately, get to the winter in their life and they've not found that one thing. And in this room, I think we all agree, we know what that one thing is. It's Christ. I mean, it's salvation through Christ. But, it's that draw that all man has to there's got to be something better than what I have. There's got to be something that is greater than what we're experiencing here, that longing for something. Yeah. And I think he implied that because he's searching for it.
He had it and he searched. He just searched in the wrong place.
When he didn't understand what he had or was unwilling. Maybe he understood and was just unwilling to see it for what it was.
And I think out of all this invincible summer idea is we don't need to be controlled by our circumstances as much as we sometimes allow ourselves to be. And it's difficult, but I think we all strive to be able to rise above our circumstances. And when things are tough, to still have that light within us. You know, we talk a lot about things, you know, we'll see people in difficult situations and we'll see how seemingly with such grace and, you know, they flawlessly handle it and they have a positive attitude about a negative situation. And you know, when you see people that are able to do that, so often you can trace it back to their relationship with God and their degree of faith. And, you know, they have an invincible summer within them.
Yeah.
That, you know, I don't know, you know, too often the bad situations, you know, are what sometimes I'm mirroring to the world, right? Things are bad. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm more of a reflection sometimes than I am, you know, someone who has an invincible summer within me. And so, but I think that's what I aspire to be, is more of that, not driven by the circumstances around me, but more of what's within us.
You know, one of my favorite sayings of Paul that you just reminded me of is 2 Corinthians 12:10, when I am weak, then I am strong. He uses, it sounds like contradictory because he says, I'm weak, I'm strong. But he's talking about two parts. His outer shell is weak. His inner strength is unstoppable because he has tapped into the omnipotence of God. And see, within, he has encountered God and he relies on God within. So his interior is invincible. You know, when my outer self is weak, then my inner self is stronger. And it's really true. The less you rely on circumstances and your outer husk, the more you will go in and go deep and find God and rely on Him, His strength instead of your own.
And wasn't that the interaction he had with God about his thorn in the flesh?
Yeah.
You know, and so it was given to him because He's basically saying, in the winter, and Christ says, I want to give you something better than the end of a winter. I want to give you the invincible summer. There you go.
And that's application of this quote. There was something that you said that made me think of that verse.
It's really good.
It was a great quote. I think it's one of my favorites we've done so far.
I
At
do
least
too.
from a mental picture, the contrast is striking.
Camus is a beautiful writer. He had a lot of good things, good books, but sadly, he comes from a different worldview than we do. And I think it's unsustainable, whereas Christianity is sustainable. There really is something within.
So is it our job to help other people find their invincible summer?
I think so. I think it's what we need to show the world. And going back to things Tim was saying, what are we reflecting? Are we reflecting? Are things just bouncing off our exterior, or is something shining from within that will actually help people? They can already see the winter. You know, it's all around them. It's undeniable. What they can't see is what's within.
Summer.
Yeah.
And if you can show that invincible summer, it presents an opportunity to minister to others, because people are going to see that and they're going to ask you about it. Yeah. And then when you get to share the source of that invincible summer, then you have a chance to talk to people about God.
Yeah, live in such a way that makes people want to have the life that you have.
And I tell you, that's a much easier way to spread the word of God than just going up to people and saying, "You're wrong, let me show you the way."
Yeah.
Which is how I think a lot of times evangelism is looked at. That's how we should do it. Let me show you where you're wrong. This is, let me show you by how I live. What I've got is amazing. Let me show it to you. Let me show you the warmth and the love of Christ.
Right. Yeah. Great quote. And we got more coming, and we appreciate all of you listening. Hope you'll keep listening and tell other people about us. We're going to let John take us out, and stay tuned for the next episode of Passages.
Follow us on Instagram at passages_podcast and join us next time on Passages.